This is a true story of a man who traveled in time to the future during a near-death experience. Tsuruhiko Kiuchi, born 1954, is a Japanese comet hunter and writer. Man traveled to the future during near-death experience. After he returned to the hospital room from the past, Kiuchi thought of traveling to the future. Now that I have teleporting ability to travel freely beyond time and space, I might be able to travel to the future. Then, he tried to imagine the future. Unlike past or present events, it is difficult to imagine uncertain future events which are yet to happen. Nevertheless, Kiuchi attempted to imagine the future vividly as possible as he could. Then, suddenly, he teleported to the future. Kiuchi found himself in a spacious room, the floor of which was covered with straw mats. In the room, about 30 people were seated at a horseshoe-shaped table. They were all listening intently to a speaker wearing a gray shirt. The room had a handsome alcove where a bright red hanging scroll with geometric designs was displayed. It appeared that the hanging scroll was a museum-quality retro one. Kiuchi was just below the ceiling of the room and he looked down the whole room at an angle of about 45 degrees. Who is speaking? Kiuchi moved toward to the speaker to have a close look at him. When looking into the speaker's face, he was amazed. Oh! The speaker was his future self in his middle age. In the speech, his future self was talking about stars. Kiuchi does not remember the details of the speech, but from the way the speaker talked, it seemed that it was a very important meeting. If this is actually my future, I should come back to life again. Kiuchi was happy to see his future self, as it meant that he could survive at least by middle age. Amazingly, this future has already become reality. 18 years after he had the near-death experience at 22, 40-year-old Kiuchi was invited to speak at the World Future Generation Forum which was held in Mt. Koya. The venue for the forum was Shochoshinen, which was a Buddhist temple and adored her. Curiously, when he entered the temple, Kiuchi had an experience of intense déjà vu. Kiuchi visited Mt. Koya for the first time, but he began to feel nostalgic for some reason. Maybe, I will speech in the spacious straw-matted room with a horseshoe-shaped table. Kiuchi was excited with the anticipation of realizing the vision which he had seen 18 years before during the near-death experience. However, the room that he entered was different from what he saw during the near-death experience in the layup. Actually, the picture of a hanging scroll on a wall of an alcove was also different. Was that just my imagination? Kiuchi was really disappointed to learn that the vision which he had seen 18 years ago was all in his mind. After that, in the evening, the sliding door of the room was opened. The door leads into the room assigned for the speech venue. Kiuchi was startled to see the room through the door. Oh, my goodness! It was exactly the same room as he visited during the near-death experience. Kiuchi was not expecting the sliding door to lead to the speech venue. It was a spacious room covered with straw mats. Also, there was a horseshoe-shaped table in the room. In addition, the room had a handsome alcove where a bright red hanging scroll with geometric designs was displayed. Everything was exactly the same as what he had seen during the near-death experience. The strange coincidence gave him goosebumps. Then, Kiuchi tried to search among his recollections to find out the other common features as what he had seen during the near-death experience. Now I remember. At that time, the speaker was wearing a gray shirt. Then, he looked down at his polo shirt. It was green, not gray. After all, there is no way everything could be exactly the same. Feeling a little disappointed, Kiuchi stood on a platform for the speech. Wow! He stared at his chest in amazement. Exposed to an overhead fluorescent light, his green polo shirt turned gray. Everything was exactly the same. The future I saw during the near-death experience came true in all respects. In this way, the future which he saw during the near-death experience came true with complete correspondence. That is, it was verified that Kiuchi traveled in time to the future during the near-death experience. By the way, Kiuchi also traveled in time to a more distant future during the near-death experience. This distant future was really strange. Like a doubly exposed film, he saw a vision of two different future images overlapped. In one of the images, his future self in his old age saw stars through a telescope with children. In this future, old Kiuchi enjoyed talking with the children about stars. It was a really peaceful future. On the other hand, in the other image, Kiuchi saw a devastating future. In this future, his future self in his old age trudged in a daze through a ruined city. Kiuchi had no idea what happened to his future self in this devastating future. He saw littered corpses that were hideously burned beyond recognition. And wounded people were lying down on the street. His old future self walked on helplessly among the dead and wounded people. Kiuchi had a sense of foreboding from the horrible sight. Which image of the future would be realized? The peaceful future will be realized? Or, an ominous future will be realized? A interpretation of quantum mechanics. Probably, this future may have yet to be decided. According to many worlds' interpretation of quantum mechanics, the best and the worst futures are in different branches of the universe. The quantum mechanical Schrödinger's cat theorem according to the many worlds interpretation. In this interpretation, every event is a branch point, the cat is both alive and dead, but the alive and dead cats are in different branches of the universe. According to Kiuchi, we have two choices about our future, since he saw the two kinds of future images during the near-death experience, that is, the peaceful future and the devastating future. Kiuchi says, "Perhaps, the future is in our hands and our fate is up to us. It may be my mission to warn people not to make a mistake in the future." Kiuchi thinks that it is the reason why he miraculously came to life. So, he gave us a warning as follows. If we act for the global environment protection, the peaceful future will be realized. On the other hand, if we act in insatiable manner from selfish motives, the devastating future will be realized. The future is up to us. Our own way of doing things greatly changes our future. This is the message from Kiuchi. We should listen to him carefully, because the future he saw during the near-death experience once came true. This is a true story of a man who gained a psychic ability to see ghosts through a near-death experience. Tsuruhiko Kiuchi, born 1954, is a Japanese comet hunter and writer. What is ghost? Where do they come from and where do they go? On March 11, 2011, a magnitude 9 undersea megathrust earthquake occurred off the coast of Japan, 70 kilometers, about 43 miles, east of the Ashika Peninsula of Tohoku. It was the most powerful earthquake ever recorded in Japan. Additionally, the earthquake triggered powerful tsunami waves. 4 meters, about 13 feet, high tsunami waves hit Iwate Prefecture and entire towns were destroyed in tsunami-hit areas in Japan. According to a report of the Japanese National Police Agency, 15,896 people were dead, 6,157 were injured, and 2,537 people were missing due to the 2011 Tohoku earthquake and tsunami. Kiuchi saw the ghosts of the victims of 2011 Tohoku earthquake and tsunami. A month after the 2011 earthquake and tsunami occurred, Kiuchi experienced something mysterious. Just before the earthquake, he had a plan to speak in Tohoku region. To see the devastation caused by the earthquake and tsunami in Tohoku, Kiuchi thought that his speech would be cancelled. However, the organizer asked him to speak in the disaster-stricken area. The organizer told him that the people in a Japanese inn, which was designated as an evacuation spot, wanted to hear his near-death experience. So, Kiuchi decided to go to the disaster-stricken area. Before the speech, he had some time. It was at that moment that Kiuchi thought of going to see the tsunami devastated area. So, he went to the seaside with the organizer. On the seaside, rubble scattered all around the ground and the scars of tsunami were widely left there. It was a terrible tragedy. Talking to the organizer, Kiuchi saw the beach. Suddenly, he saw a lot of white shadows rising from the sea. Oh! What's that? Kiuchi strained his eyes to see one of the white shadows. It appeared to be in the shape of a person. The white shadows were swaying on the water and moved at a creep toward the shore. Then, Kiuchi heard them shout. Hey! Are you okay? Where are you? Oh! What happened to us? I have to get going home. Ever since he had the near-death experience at 22, Kiuchi came to have a strange ability to see such a white shadow in the shape of a person. Even when he observed stars, he sometimes saw white shadows. When he saw the white shadows in the sea, Kiuchi was creeped out at first, but he was getting used to them. So, he did not come to worry about it. What are those white shadows? Kiuchi suspected that they were souls of the victims of the tsunami. Actually, when he had the near-death experience at 22, Kiuchi left his body behind and then traveled in time to the future or to the past. According to Kiuchi, after a person passed away, their soul could leave their body behind and then they could travel freely through time and space. Kiuchi learned that from his near-death experience. However, for the victims of the tsunami, their death was so sudden that they probably died without knowing what happened to them. As a result, they were wandering away from their body still without knowing what was actually happening to them. In other words, a flock of white shadows were souls of the victims that got washed away by the tsunami in an instant. Kiuchi had never seen so many souls at once. In addition, he clearly heard their voices, too. So, he closed his eyes and put his hands together praying sincerely for the repose of the souls of the victims. Kiuchi talked to the souls in the sea. You are already dead. Your bodies have gone. So, there is no point in staying here. Don't worry. Please go to the spirit world. When Kiuchi talked to the souls, the white shadows disappeared all at once. Perhaps, to hear his prayer, they realized that they were already dead. Then, they might have gone to the spirit world. Kiuchi saw ghosts of the children killed in Nagasaki's atomic bombing. Several years ago, Kiuchi had a similar experience in Nagasaki. When he went to Nagasaki to give a speech, the organizer showed him around Nagasaki City. On August 9, 1945, during the World War II, the United States dropped an atomic bomb on Nagasaki. The bomb devastated Nagasaki City and 35,000 people were killed. Most of the dead were civilians, including women and children. Kiuchi was walking with the organizer in the Nagasaki Peace Park that was constructed to commemorate the atomic bombing of the city. Nagasaki Peace Park was located near to the hypocenter of the explosion. Suddenly, Kiuchi was surprised to see that small white shadows rallied around his feet. Each white shadow said, "Where's my mom? I want to go to my mom. I want to go home." Amazingly, Kiuchi found out later that there were a monastery and its nursery school there. Kiuchi thought that those white shadows were the souls of the children who were killed in Nagasaki's atomic bombing. The organizer asked Kiuchi with concern, because he noticed something odd about Kiuchi's attitude. "Is there anything wrong with you, Mr. Kiuchi?" Kiuchi asked him. "Do you see it?" "No, I don't see anything." The organizer stared at Kiuchi blankly. "What's the matter?" Apparently, it was only Kiuchi who saw the mysterious white shadows. Kiuchi got upset a little, but he pulled himself together. He explained to the organizer about what he saw. Then, Kiuchi made a suggestion. "We should pray for the repose of the children's souls." So, Kiuchi and the organizer prayed for the repose of the souls of the children. After a while, the white shadows formed a light pillar and then ascended into the sky. Kiuchi once had left his body behind during the near-death experience at 22, and then he traveled in time to the future and to the past as a ghost. In the similar way, the white shadows might have been the souls of the children who left their body behind after they were killed in the atomic bombing. Some of the children's souls might have traveled in time to the future, that is, to the time when Kiuchi visited Nagasaki Peace Park. By the way, after the children ascended into the sky forming a light pillar, where did they go? According to Kiuchi, the souls of the children might have traveled to another time and place. Perhaps, they have been merged into the greater universal mind. About the greater universal mind, Kiuchi says, the greater universal mind is the origin of every soul and the universe. When a person dies, their soul returns to the greater universal mind. Therefore, it is the home of our soul. So, Kiuchi believes that the souls of the children return to the greater universal mind.